And I think, if you don't mind, just a little introduction to the characters that were brought in here. So we were introduced in this stanza to Väinämöinen, Ilmarinen, Kaukomieli, and Joukahainen. So Väinämöinen is essentially the main character of Kalevala. He is, I guess you would sort of call him like a demigod. I think that's sort of accurate here, and we'll see why. But he's definitely the hero of the story, and he's sort of this bard / shaman type. He sings, and he sings magically. Not to kind of get too far here, but that's what he does. And I mean, his adventures are. Not all of the Kalevala is on him. I think it's like 10 or so out of the 50 poems are specifically about Väinämöinen, but he is like the central character. It begins with Väinämöinen and it ends with Väinämöinen. And his characteristics, as we're going to see, are very, very much like Odin. Very, very similar. There's some thought that they might be related, or even that since Odin isn't really in any of the any of the other Indo-European pantheons, that he might have come through in a Finnic type figure because they were so close cultural contact sort of thing there.
Oh, interesting.
Possibly, but that would have been a very, very long time ago because Woden type figures are everywhere, kind of in the Germanic areas. So it's a thread, but it's not really anything concrete. That said, Väinämöinen is very, very similar to Odin, and he's actually the character of Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings is pretty much Väinämöinen. Like, from what I understand, the inspiration for Gandalf is Odin plus Väinämöinen. Like, the two characters kind of taken together are Gandalf. That's kind of the resulting character, but it was more so Väinämöinen, from what I understand, was like the elements of the personality that he kind of brought in there, which is, yeah.
Oh, interesting. And I mean, there's not a lot of difference between like Gandalf and Odin, really. So that like, that's to see that it's Gandalf is a combination of the two. I'm excited to see the characteristics.
Oh yeah, so that's going to be fun. So Väinämöinen really, I think he's the most important character of the poem. There are certainly others, but we're going to be following him a lot. And well, I mean, if you remember this whole poem, Runo 1 is the birth of Väinämöinen, so that's an important event. Next up is Ilmarinen. So he is interesting. He's sort of this divine smith type character, and his name relates to the word air, Ilma being the word for air. So he's sort of a kind of a sky god sort of thing, or a sky hero. And he is the forger of this artifact, the Sampo, which we don't know exactly what that is. We don't know exactly what it is, but we know it's this thing of great power, and it's really the artifact that everyone is trying to obtain in the entire story. So the forces of evil and chaos are trying to get a hold of it, and the so-called good side, like, because we'll get into that, is trying to take it away from them and steal it and things like that. And that's the really the source of the primary conflict in the whole poem. So I don't know if you know any other stories where you get this big artifact of power that multiple sides want.
Wow! I don't think I've ever heard this story before.
So Ilmarinen is the forge of the Sampo, and so he's another major character. So I mean, Belt of Väinämöinen, the forge of Ilmarinen. Joukahainen is a character that will. I've skipped Kaukomieli. Okay, so here's a good one. Kaukomieli is also possibly the hero. So sorry, I'll back up a little. He's sort of like another hero in the Finnish mythology in general, but he was amalgamated to a few different characters, and most of the time he's referred to as Lemminkainen. And so Kaukomieli, Kaukamoinen, and Lemminkainen are all kind of the same names for the same character. Different names for the same character, and he's young, good looking, a good fighter, and he's going to die.
Huh.
That sound like anyone else to you?
Definitely. So, is he wouldn't happen to be the son of Väinämöinen?
No, I don't believe so. I think he's kind of a standalone character there, but no, for real, it's speculated that Lemminkainen and Baldur have common origins.
Interesting.
So we're going to see how Lemminkainen's going to die. It's going to be a fun story. So, well, yeah, we're going to see that. That's going to be a fun story. So just, I mean, just putting all the pieces together, right? Like all these characters that are so similar.
Oh, for sure.
To what we've already looked at, right? It's pretty cool. Some good connections. Again, just to emphasize, like these are not necessarily genetically related cultures, but they were so close, in such close proximity, the Norse and the Finnic, that they definitely passed some stories around and all that. So
for sure,
like I think the view of the Finns and the Sami are like they're the crazy ones from out east and up north, like compared to the relatively sane, Norse people in Scandinavia proper. So
right,
yeah. So that's just kind of some fun there, and then Joukahainen. So we'll see Joukahainen pretty quick here, not in the first couple of poems, but in the one after that. And he's sort of a hunter type figure, with his crossbow sort of thing. They make some emphasis of him shooting things, and he's kind of a rival of Väinämöinen. He's kind of an antagonist type character, and we'll see. Well, not antagonist, rival is actually more a correct word, and they compete together and. Yeah, so we're going to see that pretty quick here, but I think we've already seen like concepts of the hunter and, well, they're going to have a singing competition, not to spoil anything, but they're going to have a singing competition, and we've already seen a competition in something similar to that, right? So it's, yeah, with Vathridnismal, so.
For sure. Oh, that's very interesting. So I had forgive me in advance because I'm not going to have nearly the beautiful accent on the Finnish words, but so Joukahainen, yeah. Joukahainen. Would he still be considered, quote unquote good, or is he okay?
Yeah,
he's not fulfilling like the Loki role of no.
No, I definitely wouldn't say that. There's a thing about Kalevala. I don't think there's any concept of good or evil.
Okay,
there is order and chaos.
Fair enough.
Very specifically, which I think is probably more the original type of morality, right? Without any sort of so-called Christianized influence. And I do think that is, except for the very final poem, which I think some details kind of had to be put in there to appease the church, something like that, or whatever. But throughout this, I think Lönnrot maintained the feel and the morality, versus part of Norse mythology could have some more overt Christian influence just because it was there kind of in a more original sense and active conversion and stuff like that. But
interesting.
I don't think there's really any kind of concept of good or evil. There sort of is, but my understanding of it is it's very much kind of the heroes of order, fairly specifically against figures of chaos.
Okay. Fascinating.
We'll meet Joukahainen pretty quick. Runo 3.
Awesome.
So, and I think we went over the geography as well. Kalevala versus Pohjola. Kalevala, also called Väinälä. And really, it's analogous to Finland proper, or what we would call Midgard, I think, as opposed to Pohjola, which is really just more like the more inhospitable north lands, from what I understand. And so very much a similar division to Midgard and Jotunheim, I think.
Awesome.